I'm in a weird mood, so let's look at Wil Wheaton. No one's interested in this video other than me, but let's look at the epitome of cringe. Let's look at the epitome of existential crises and everything's about me. I'm Will, I'm the host of Bald Book Geek, and if you want more, all the info you need are down below. If you want early access and exclusive content, please head over to my Patreon or become a channel member. But let's look at the self-own that is Wil Wheaton, a descent into mediocrity, internet locale status, and just overall an unlikable person. Let's talk. Wil Wheaton's name might bring to mind a couple of different things. Wesley Crusher, that one kid everyone was annoyed with on TNG, or maybe the guy who pops up on social media every so often to complain about something that, while still making it about himself. Either way, it's a masterclass in how to turn a average acting career that had some promise into a dumpster fire of self-victimization and cringe. Wil Wheaton would be the professor. Let's rewind the clock back to 87, where a young Wil Wheaton got a break on Wesley Crusher on Star Trek TNG. It should have been the role of a lifetime, a young protege flying around the galaxy, hanging out with Captain Picard, and exploring strange new worlds. The problem? Wesley was universally despised by the fans, and there's no denying his character was badly written, but Wheaton's inability to make the character likeable was also a strong issue that it had. It became the poster boy for annoying side characters, the quintessential Mary Sue. While the rest of the cast moved on to larger and many more successful projects, Wheaton never seemed to shake his early association with failure. It's hard to say what's more tragic, his career stalling out after Star Trek, or the fact that he still to this day blames everyone else for the fact that it happened. One thing Wil Wheaton has mastered over the years is turning himself into a professional victim. Somewhere along the line, he realised that playing the underdog on social media pays off. From blaming his parents for pushing him into acting, to lamenting his time on Star Trek as a traumatic experience, Wheaton constantly finds ways to play the world's smallest violin and fake some tears while he's at it. Let's be clear, everyone has hardships. The most successful people grow from them and move forward. Not Wil Wheaton. For decades, he clung on to his past grievances like they were his only currency. And it's the only thing he's got left to offer the world, and boy, does he peddle it with enthusiasm. One thing that, after a lackluster acting career, was he would find solace in writing. Unfortunately, his writing is as dry and self-serving as his tweets. His memoir, Just a Geek, paints a picture of a man desperate to be liked, drowning in self-pity and over-explaining his frustrations to an audience that have largely moved on. Instead of growing into a more self-aware individual, Wheaton managed to turn every little grievance into a sob story of how he was wronged by the industry, his parents, his fans, and society at large. It's less a memoir and more a collection of temper tantrums stretched over 300 pages. His other dry attempts at writing don't fare much better. From blog posts to essays, as if he took his social media persona and extended it into a book, endlessly whining about every little thing and lacking any self-reflection. Speaking of social media, let's dive into the pity of cringe that is his online presence. A quick stroll through his now privated Twitter or Instagram, you'll find a mix of rants, false attempts at relatability, and the classic "I'm just a geek like you." This has not been relevant since the mid-2000s. Wil Wheaton's online persona is a strange mix of self-righteousness and insecurity, as if every post is designed to reaffirm himself that he's still relevant in any action or anything. Whether it's airing out petty grievances or posting about how hard it is for him to just exist, Wheaton has mastered the art of using the internet to transform some minor inconvenience into a full-blown existential crisis. It's not just the content of his posts that's a problem, it's the fact that every single one screams, "Look at me, I'm still here." Shut up, Wesley. The most ironic part about Wil Wheaton is, despite his best efforts, he has become exactly what he feared the most: irrelevant. Though his peers have moved on to greater things, Wheaton is still stuck in the shadows of Star Trek, occasionally surfacing for guest appearances, or whining about how hard his life is, or turning up at cons to answer a few questions. There's something tragic about it all. He has had every opportunity to build a meaningful career, to reinvent himself, to actually do something new, but instead he chose to wallow in self-pity, to dwell on past failures, and embrace a social media persona that only makes him even more unbearable. In the end, Wil Wheaton's legacy won't be defined by his acting career or writing. It's going to be defined by the fact that he never grew up. He's the pretentious geek, stuck in a loop of self-doubt, and forever playing the victim while the rest of the world moves on around him. So here's to Wil Wheaton, the man who could be more but chose to be less, the eternal victim, the king of cringe, the patron saint of mediocrity. Here's hoping that one day he realises that playing the victim, the only works why people care, and people stopped caring a long time ago.